but still, I think the drum set is meant to be like an instrument that accompanies other musicians. That's the maybe, well, there are different kind of solo artists who make really interesting stuff just with drums alone, but still the basic meaning of drums is actually that it's an instrument where people can dance to, but it's the foundation of song to me.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I love doing. I love to create music with other people. And
Hi,
hello.
David.
Hi, Peter. Nice to meet you.
Lovely to meet you here on Zoom. You've got such a nice background.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, the painting and the sky.
Yeah, it is. The painting is actually a painting of my father. He made
Really?
that 30 years ago. Yes.
Beautiful. So tell me about this painting. Is your dad a painter?
He is, yeah. He was, then he stopped for a long time, and now he started it again because he retired, and so there's a lot of time for to pick up old, like passions again.
Yeah. Great that he does it. Why did he stop?
I don't know really. Mainly for, I guess, family reasons, because he thought it would maybe get in the way of, spending enough time with family and kids. And
Maybe I
but
have.
I think there's been more to it. But yeah, but been a long story.
Maybe I'll have to talk to your dad as well.
Oh yeah, you should. Yeah, you should.
Oh, that would be great. That would be great. But listen, David, I first want to say your Instagram page is so interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah, amazing how you did it. It's you took drumming to a whole different level for me.
Oh, thanks. That's great to hear.
Yeah. And you seem to be very creative because not only can we see that on your Instagram page, but you seem to try and create different sounds as well. You're interested in sound.
I am, yeah. That's what I actually really love. It's that thing about drumming that I'm into. It's I just love exploring this universe, because it's a never-ending thing, really. I tried so many different drum kits and tunings and styles of playing and microphones and editing techniques, and it really never ends. There is so much more to discover, and I think especially with drums, because there's just so many variations you can go into.
But this made me really think when I saw all this, that I used to think of drums as the background or the rhythm, and I think many people see it that way. But what you did really was to show me that the drumming has a sound, not just, but a musical sound. It's almost as if you can listen to the drums on its own, and by these sounds that you create, it fascinates me that I actually want to hear only the drum.
Wow, what a nice compliment! Thanks. Well, I think it's both, really. The drum set and drums and percussions are actually in parts meant to accompany other instruments, I think. But also, and especially some jazz drummers went down that road. They took it to a different level in terms of make it stand on its own and really try to play melodies on the drum set, and not only play a beat and that's it, but really try to phrase songs and shape songs with sounds, but also with the melodies they play on the drums, like the different rhythms, with how they change rhythms and sounds in songs. And that's really interesting to me. It's like the question for me is, when I record drums, and that's what I mainly do, is how can I support the song and the lyrics and the voice of the artists and the basic concept of the song? How can I support all of this best with what I do on the drum set? How can I, make the song shine? How can I elevate it in a way? And that very often means a lot of different things. Sometimes it means play very quiet. Sometimes it means playing really like aggressively and with harsh sounds and distort them afterwards in the editing, for example. So, and that's what makes like all these variations and all these different styles, what makes it so interesting. Yeah.
But you talk about editing now. So editing, do you mean in the sense that you just lower the sound or highlight the sound, or do you change something about the sound?
Yeah, both of it.
Okay.
Well, I try with each step of the recording process, I try to get as close as possible to the notion I had when I started.
Okay.
So like that's kind of important to me that I know where I'm going, because if I have no idea where I want to go, then it's hard to get somewhere, because someday everything's cool and other days then maybe nothing is cool if you have no like notion of where you want to go to. But then if I have a basic understanding of what the drum set should do in a song, then I try to follow that notion, which with each step, meaning that I choose the drum set, then I tune the drum set, then I try to find the right beat and play around with the grooves and the sounds that I found. And then I put microphones to the drum set. And then when I record it, I treat the sounds that I recorded, meaning that I compress them or EQ them or maybe distort them or maybe put some other effects on it, depending on how natural or maybe not natural I want to sound the drums. Yeah.
But I want to dissect your Instagram page now, because all the pictures I see, I so want to know, why did you do that, or what is that what you did? But the first thing I want to ask is there's a picture of the drums with a red floral. It looks like fabric that's on the drums.
Oh yeah, okay, I know what you mean.
Tell me about that.
That's really just for dampening. It makes a very, very different sound if you dampen the drum heads with anything really, but in this special case with fabrics that are actually made for that. They are exactly the same size as the drums. If I mean the right video, I don't know which one you saw, but there are actually a drum student of mine made those for me.
Oh, okay.
It's a 10-year-old girl. It's my only drum student. It's the only drum student I have. And
that's so sweet.
And she actually made those for me because I thought, oh, that would be really practical to have them in exactly the same size as the drums are. And then she made them. But they are for dampening. They change the sound of the drum. Yeah. And it makes the drum drier, because the heads, the drum hands, that they can't ring anymore because
I see.
Yeah. And that makes a lot of difference especially if you put microphones close to the drums, then the sound gets really like beefy and thick and like a very. And
there's also one that I saw with, is it goat skin with hair? And I've never seen that before.
There is one guy in Canada actually who does that, and he just leaves the fur of the skin on the skin. So that has a similar effect than putting something on the drum set. It's dampening because the heads are very thick, or he makes them very thick for me because I especially told him what I need. And then he's called Ryan McKay from Bowie Percussion. He's a really nice guy. And he's really good at that. So he can make all kinds of different natural drum heads. And this one is special. And I think maybe there is another guy who does that, but I know these heads from him. And I think he kind of invented this. So he leaves the fur on the drum head, and it has a very dampening effect. So they sound kind of, they don't have much high frequencies, because these get dampened by the fur, actually.
Well, I'm from South Africa, and the Africans there, traditionally that's their instrument. They use the springbok skin on it, and it still has the fur on. So
yeah, true.
yeah,
I saw it on traditional drums. You're right.
yeah, yeah. So that I've never seen that on a modern or a contemporary drum set like that. So that was amazing to see and to hear, how it sounds in that setting. But then you also there's this drum set that looks like it's a makeshift one, that it looks like a wheel cap or something, and
Okay, yeah, there's definitely sometimes a wheel cap in my drums. Yeah. I don't know which. Well, you really did take a close look to
I
these.
did.
Oh.
I'm a stalker.
I'm honored. I'm really honored. Awesome. That's also part of the sound experimenting thing. I just try to see what kind of sounds I can get out of different things. Sometimes things I find somewhere.
Oh, really? Yeah, because I thought that when I saw that, I thought, okay, so is this guy going around the world or going around town and looking for things to beat?
I sometimes do. Really, I do. I go
Really?
to junkyard and try and find stuff, like especially like interesting metal sheets or this wheel cap, and yeah, it's just fun to do.
Well, I spoke to a sculptor once, and I asked him if he looks at people and, look at the nose or the ear and think, hey, that's an interesting ear to sculpt. And he said that he does, that he would sit in a meeting and for instance, see an ear and think, hey, nice ear, I must remember the shape. So do you do that with drumming as well? Do you just go somewhere and see an object and think, I wonder what that would sound like if I play it, if you hit it?
Very often. And I usually try it then. And
Oh,
it's
is it?
sometimes a bit weird because my girlfriend is embarrassed. And when I'm like taking a walk with her and then I try how things sound, then she's like, come on, don't do that. That's weird. But yeah, I do that actually. And then if I can, I take them to the studio because I can, I can really only tell how things sound when I record them, because they usually do something different when you put microphones to them.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Things have a special sound for themselves, of course. But like if I like knock on the table or knock on wood or try, I don't know, bouncing a stick on kind of a metal thing, that makes a sound for itself, of course. And it sounds sometimes interesting. And if it sounds interesting, then I think, oh, that must be cool to record it, because then I can, do lots of different things with this sound. Yeah, treat it differently.
Well, you're now really going to think I'm a stalker, but I saw you play with a baby toy as well. You did drumming on a
That's quite a long time ago. That belongs
That's
to
why
my...
I thought, okay, he's going around just trying everything.
That belongs to my niece.
Oh.
That was just fun.
Yeah, no, but that's why I say it's so lovely to see your Instagram page. You just and you know what, it's like you make me aware of things, so to make me aware of what different things can bring different sounds. And of course, when the rhythm is with it, it sounds very much musical. And I think we don't realize it in everyday life that these things are around.
That's lovely. It's lovely. Yeah, I love that if it has this effect on you, that you think differently about the things.
Absolutely, yeah, no, absolutely. I'm not saying I will go walk around starting to drum, but I think I think like, hey, okay, yeah. But now, you are you collaborate with bands, or how do you make your music?
I do collaborate with bands. Actually, there were some interesting new developments in the last 2 weeks. Actually, there were two new bands asking if I would play with them, and I really love to, because I was kind of looking for a band where I really have the feeling to fit in with what I do, like with the way I play, with I'm not so good at trying to pretend to be something that I'm not. Meaning, I'm not so good if I think, like before starting a band, that I think that I need to do a perfect job there, or that I need to sound this very specific way in order to fit in a way that's not really my way, but a way that's probably the way somebody else would sound, maybe the drummer that played before me. And so I was really wishing for a band where I had the feeling that I could, play as I would like to play and still contribute to this specific sound of the band. And I think that I just very recently found two bands at the same time who were asking me if I would like to play with them. Yeah. And I'm really looking forward to this. And it's going to start like in February. And there are a couple of nice concerts planned. So we'll see. So
that's amazing. Yeah. Well, I'll be following you in anyway, so I'll be looking at what comes up there. But cool. This must be also for a drummer, and I wouldn't say an issue, but a thing that you have to be also as an musician, be able to not just be the background and the rhythm and there, but that you have to have people to collaborate with, in the sense that you make music together, that you are really part of the music.
Yeah, it is. Being a drummer who plays drums on his own all the time is quite boring. It's sometimes fun, like the way I do it, experimenting with sounds. Then I can, I do not easily get bored with myself if I do my experience and explore drums. But still, I think the drum set is meant to be like an instrument that accompanies other musicians. That's the maybe, well, there are different kind of solo artists who make really interesting stuff just with drums alone, but still the basic meaning of drums is actually that it's an instrument where people can dance to, but it's the foundation of songs to me.
Oh yeah.
And that's what I love doing. I love to create music with other people, and I can do that in the studio a lot of times because people would ask me to play on their music. They would send me songs, and then I would play on the songs and then send them back their songs with drums.
Okay.
So that's basically my main job. Then, of course, in the live situation. And I also tried to do that in a third way. I founded a company last year called Relate Audio, and Relate Audio creates loops. There are many, many companies and many drummers and artists who create loops, and you can sell loops to other producers and artists who then can create their music from these loops. The problem for me with loops is usually that they sound a little bit generic sometimes, and they they repeat after 4 bars, and then sometimes they can be a little boring. So my idea was, what if I would record these loops together with other artists, so you can really have this live interaction in a loop. I would invite, for example, a bass player and ask him if he would like to record a sample pack or a loop pack with me. Then we would spend 2 days in the studio and have this interaction going on just by playing with each other. And then we will cut loops out of that. And by that, you have always 2 loops, like a bass loop and a drum loop. But these 2 loops, they go together.
They go together.
They're recorded together. So that was the idea. And that's the kind of my third way to, make music with others as a drummer.
Oh, yeah. And do you have your own studio, or do you have to go to
I rent a studio? It's not really my own, but I was very, very lucky to find this place. It's beautiful. It's in an old, it's actually a barn or something. But he really made it very, very beautiful. It's a big room, like 60 square meters, and there are a lot of big windows, and it sounds really good in there. And I was very fortunate to find this beautiful room.
But your drums now, the drum kit, that's not an easy thing to transport. I mean, it's not like a bass player or guitarist that just take their instrument wherever they go. So Is this something that hinders you a little bit? I mean, what you always have to think of the logistics when you go somewhere.
I do, especially because since Corona, I don't have a car anymore because I thought that like back then, I didn't need it because there were no live gigs. So I thought, well, it's just useless if it's standing around somewhere.
Yeah.
So now I try to see how far I can get without having a car as a drummer. But I noticed that it's getting quite hard as soon as you play a lot live, because that requires exactly the logistics that you mentioned. You have to think in advance, like, when do I need a drum set, where, and how does it get there? And of course, I can always rent a car, which I do then. It's a lot more effort than if you would just like have a car parked outside. But yeah, that's an issue, definitely. Like it requires some organizational skills sometimes, because I don't have like every part. For example, a drum chair. I don't have that 3 times but I own one drum chair or 2, but sometimes I would need a 3rd or a 4th because there is a rehearsal there, and then I need one in the studio, and then there's a live gig next day somewhere else. So sometimes, that there's some logistics behind. Yeah. But it's quite manageable. Yeah.
But now, how did you start playing the drums? At what age were you when you started playing?
Oh, I was very young. I think I started at 6 or 7.
Really? And what was it about the drums?
I don't know. There was something that fascinated me when I was very young. And I think it started by seeing the drummer of the local marching band. And I was really a fan of his. I just really liked what he was doing. It was just, like he was a good drummer. It was like, okay, but it was just a marching band. But I just liked the rhythm, and not of the bass drum, but of the snare drum. I don't know why. But that fascinated me. And then for my 6th birthday, I got a small like plastic drum because I wished for it, and then I got it. And then soon after that, I started at music school, like at the age of 7, I think. So my parents were very supportive.
Oh, that's great.
Well, and then there are always like phases. Sometimes you practice more, and then were, of course, a couple of years where I didn't do much at all. But I always kind of kept going and never really stopped. And then after graduating college, I thought, well, what would I like to do? And then I thought about studying drums. And I don't know why, but this idea kind of manifested, and then I wouldn't let go. And then I would try and, pass the exam that's required for entering the university. So, yeah. And then things like kept going.
But how amazing that your parents supported you, because I can just imagine, a 6, 7-year-old who requests a drum set or.
Might be annoying, you would think.
And it's
but I actually got one at the age of 8, I think.
Yeah, and a drum kit's not a small thing. I mean, it's not like a small instrument. You really have to have the space for it.
Yeah. Well, my parents lived in the countryside, and they had a big house, so there was enough space, and the neighbors were far enough away so that I wouldn't get.
I wanted to ask that as well.
But yeah, they were really supportive. I'm really thankful for that. Yeah.
But I mean, you must have a drum kit at home. So, and if you play, do you have to have specific times where you play? Because I can assume that the neighbors would also not be so happy.
I'm living in an apartment now, so I don't have a drum set at home because that's really just not possible. I mean, I have a practice pad or something usually lying around somewhere, but I can practice in the studio. So just go there.
But tell me, David, now what is the wish for you for the future? You have these great bands that you're now part of, but what still would you love to do?
I really would love to continue what I'm doing right now, like making music with others, recording beautiful music, and really go into detail there, spending a lot of time in the studio and actually like making songs and producing songs with others. That's just what I love doing. And then maybe what I wish for in terms of related audio, like this company I founded last year, the long-term vision of that is that I can, by recording stuff with other musicians, that I can really create a network that maybe also includes other companies, a lot of other musicians, and maybe NGOs. And with this network, I would like to use to, create awareness or raise awareness and funds for people and topic who I think are in need of it. That would be like really a nice thing if I could achieve that. By collaborating with a lot of artists all over the world. Yeah, that would be great.
So in that sense, where you said working with NGOs, and do you mean people in countries where there's no funding for them as musicians, or what do you
For
mean?
example, that can mean a lot of different things. It could mean that I collaborate with a musician somewhere in, I don't know, let's say South America, and record a sample pack with him. So we two together produce a product that we can actually sell. And then by collaborating with this musician in that area, we could maybe team up with a company there or an NGO there and say, well, by creating this sample pack together and by collaborating with each other, we could actually, give the collaboration a name and say, we are doing this for, I don't know, a region, a topic, another maybe person. And maybe there is a special, let's say, I don't know, a company or an NGO who's already dealing with this topic in that area. Then we could team up and then we could like make it bigger and create, more awareness. That would be nice. But that's still a long way to go because I just started the company, but that's the vision. So
I'm going to think about that because I would love for you to collaborate with South African artists.
Wow, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Because I think there are a lot of very talented artists in South Africa, and of course they don't have the exposure that artists have in Europe and in America. So I'm going to keep this definitely at the back of my head.
So awesome. Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah. So that maybe you do something nice in South Africa.
Cool. I would love it.
But David, this was so great to talk to you. Really, I'm such a big fan, and I'll be watching you closely, stalking you still.
Thank you so much.
Seeing what you get up to. And maybe I'll start banging here somewhere in Vienna on something that I find might make a sound. And please, let me get in touch with your dad. It would be so lovely to talk to him as well about his painting.
Yeah, that would be great. I asked him if he would like to do that first, because I think he might not be comfortable with talking in English.
But, I see. Okay. Let's see. Let's see what we can do.
But I'll definitely ask him. I think he would be honored.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. David, have a lovely day.
Thank you. You too.
And I hope to meet you in person one day.
Me too.
Okay. Bye-bye, David.
Bye.